Governor.
Richard, and then
back to the merger. UNO actually only has a 22% graduation rate. How would merging the schools actually improve the graduation rate? And on top of that, do you have any plans or ideas on how to handle the racial aspect of the merger?
two things. One, look, obviously, none of our institutions have an acceptable graduation rate in this state. That includes not only UNO, that includes even the schools with the highest graduation rates. They need to improve. So often our universities compare themselves to their SREB peers, to their peers outside the state across this region. When you look at every one of our schools, they've got work to do, and that goes from the schools with the highest graduation rates in our state, including LSU, A&M, and Baton Rouge, needs to improve its graduation rates to really be competitive with other flagship schools across the South and across the country. So every one of our schools has to improve their graduation rate, including UNO. The reality is, SUNO's got the lowest graduation rate in the entire state at 5%. That is simply unacceptable. They don't come anywhere near graduating and retaining the number of students they need to graduate and retain. The idea is if this makes sense, and again, we've at this point asked regents to study this, if this makes sense, combining the schools would allow them to focus their resources more efficiently instead of having empty classrooms, instead of having duplication, instead of wasting dollars on duplicate administrative functions. They could put more of those resources into the classroom, and at the same time, we would require them to work more collaboratively with Delgado. So for example, we passed a law last year making the articulation agreements easier from institution to institution. It may be some students at risk of dropping out today would benefit by starting at Delgado or other community and technical colleges, transferring to a four-year school once they're ready for those courses, for those degrees. That's an example of something that could happen more seamlessly if we require those institutions to work more closely together. So bottom line is, we're not satisfied with the graduation rates at any of our universities or colleges in Louisiana. They all need to improve. That's why we passed the GRAD Act, to give them the opportunity, the incentive to do that. That's why we've asked the Board of Regents to change the funding formula. As we speak, they're intending to, at their February meeting, to present a new higher ed funding formula that will encourage and reward our institutions for success, not just size. For too many years, we've paid them to be the biggest, not the best. Now again, we've asked regents to study this. We want them to come back and tell us, does this make sense? If it makes sense, how does it make sense? Could they put more dollars in the classroom by getting rid of some of the duplication? Could they work more collaboratively with Delgado than they're doing today? Could they make it easier for students to start at one institution and like Delgado and transfer to a four-year institution? Those are some of the kinds of questions that we expect regents to answer in their analysis.
Last one, Sabrina.